Hello and welcome to Eye on Oakland. I'm Chuck Moss, your host, and we have a great guest today. We're talking with Kathleen Devereaux, a community activist with Operation Save the Community House. And if you have been living here and you're not on a rock, you understand that the community house in Birmingham, the iconic center of our community, is on the bubble, and we're trying to figure out what's going to happen. Is it going to be sold? Is it going to be torn down? What is going to happen? And we have here someone who's very interested in it. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chuck.
Welcome. So, what is Operation Save the Community House?
Well, it's a loose conglomerate of people who believe that the community house should never be sold. The community house was created for a purpose. It's over 100 years old. Its purpose is to provide a community center for the city of Birmingham and beyond, but it's a public trust, and it was never intended to become a commercial commodity in any way.
Well, let's kind of recap the situation. The community house, what was it, 1920, 22, 23? When did it become what it is?
Well, a group of women actually organized in 1923 to form what they considered at that time a home away from home, or in today's parlance, you'd call it a third place, where people could gather of all ages, that wouldn't be home, that wouldn't be work, but would be a refuge for people at that time in the then village of Birmingham. So they met in each other's homes to kind of craft an organizational plan, if you will, to put together the house. And they realized, well, of course, they needed a house, so they acquired on former church property, I believe, a house which is on the corner of what is now Bates and Maple, which is now under construction. Anyway, that house is long gone. That house was soon outgrown with all the activities and the demand for it. And it was actually the initial home of the Birmingham Village Players. A lot of cultural events took place, book club meetings, musical concerts. But they needed a bigger house, basically. So they decided to build one. And to do that, they needed money. So in about circa 1928, a trust was formed to raise money for the building. Also, somewhat before that, the Community House Association, which is now still the same entity that runs it today, was also formed. The association then deeded the property that they acquired for the site of the community house to a group of trustees, among them Ruth Shane and some other founding people of Birmingham.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. Yeah, what is that you're holding up?
So I'm holding that deed of trust. So what that means is that the association deeded the property, including the building, which had by this time had been erected, to a trust consisting of, I believe it was 5 people.
5 people.
Okay. From then on, that trust would have the power, the only power, to encumber the property in order to raise funds for the building.
Okay, let me make sure that I understand.
Okay.
So in 1928, because the original house had been was overflowing, they formed the Community House Association, which is now a nonprofit, and that is still the nonprofit that operates the community house, correct?
Yes.
Okay, the Community House Association, that's where you've got the board, and they operate it.
Yes.
Now, the building and the land itself, the house, the property, is in a trust, right?
It was in a trust.
Was in a trust. Where does the ownership of that property lie now?
Well, now it lies solely with the Community House Association.
Okay.
Because in 1989, they had decided that they needed to again encumber the property, to mortgage the property, in effect, to do a massive renovation plan to double the size of the house, literally, which happened in 1990.
That was 1990?
Yeah.
That recently?
Yeah. So in order to do that, at that time, so the trust still held title to half the property at that time, and only they could sign off on a mortgage. The only problem was they couldn't really sign off on a mortgage because at that time, since they didn't have any official status as an entity, they had not filed for a 501c3 or incorporated, no bank would actually lend to them.
So the trust
because
was
the
just,
individual trustees were not personally liable for this debt. They were acting on behalf of a trust. So at that time, they decided to dissolve the trust.
Okay.
And deed everything back to the association. That had to be done by a petition to the probate court and a court order and a quitclaim deed.
Sure.
Which then basically passed along the restrictions in this deed, which the association is still bound by today.
So let me make sure once again I understand, and people understand, the original trust from 1928 lasted until 1990, and in 1990 the trust was dissolved, and the deed to the property, the community house property, the land and the building, passed along to the Community House Association, which not only operates the building, but also now owns the property. It's all in one. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. But the restrictions that were in the original deed went along with the deed to the association.
Right.
So the restrictions are still in force.
They are still enforced.
And very quick, can we very quickly say what those restrictions
Say
are?
what they are. That in the event of the dissolution of the corporate existence of the settlor, namely the association, following the abandonment for any reason of the purpose or purposes for which it was formed, then to quit claim and convey the said land and all of the improvements thereon to such charitable, benevolent, or educational organization in the said village of Birmingham or its successor municipality as the said trustees herein or their elected appointed successors may by whatever.
Okay, so once again, let me understand.
Yeah.
Let me make sure I understand.
In other words.
Yeah.
If the association were to ever dissolve after failing of its essential purpose,
or abandoning
their purpose.
Their purpose.
Then they would be required to either quit claim the property to another nonprofit with a similar purpose,
right,
or to the city of Birmingham at a nominal rental to.
Wait a minute, I did not hear city of Birmingham.
Reading the clause because of all the legalese in there. But anyway, or to convey it to the said village of Birmingham to be used by it for a community center for the benefit of the public.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand again. So what the deed says, and this is legally controlling, is that if the association abandons the mission, shall we say, of providing a community center, and this building is for that it is to convey, they are to lose the property is to go from there either to another nonprofit that is going to have the same purpose, i.e. provide a community center, or to the city of Birmingham for how much nominal rental?
Nominal rental.
Rental means someone else owns it. Okay. All right. So in other words, by abandoning the mission, the trust, the Community House Association would have essentially defaulted the building to someone else. Wow. And right there in black and white. Well. That's interesting. I wonder if the judge who was there in 1990 is still there. Probably not. That was 35 years ago, 36. All right. Now, my question is, all right, now, that's the situation. So, who's involved in Save the Community House?
You want names?
Well, I don't know. You got a lot of people. Anybody we would know? I mean, is it a big group, small group?
Linda Solomon is actually our fearless leader.
That's a good leader to have.
Yes. And various people who came forward, Racquelin Hoff.
Former Mayor Racquelin Hoff, yes.
Right? Robert Ziegelman, who was one of the original architects who worked on various projects.
The great Bob Ziegelman, yes.
Yes. And
that's those are good enough. Yeah, so a fairly high profile. That's good. Well, now the city of Birmingham has not been idle about this either. They have at least some sort of a right due to the terms of the deed, and they have sued, haven't they, to block?
They have sued, yes.
Because my understanding, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is that the Community House Association. Current leadership and board has decided to walk away from the primary mission, which is to maintain the community house as a community center, to sell it, use the money, and just become a fundraising NGO to do good works and fundraise and give money around.
Yeah.
So they've clearly walked away from the purpose, it seems to me. So the city of Birmingham sued, and that's where we're at right now.
That's where we're at right now.
How did it get to this point? They were doing great. I mean, what happened?
How it got to this point?
Yeah, they were doing great, and now all of a sudden they want to sell it and get out of the business.
Yeah, well, they ran into fiscal difficulties over, I'd say, well, the pandemic was partly to blame for that, as many other entities ran into those types of difficulties. But the community house, almost from its inception, has run into fiscal difficulties, and always before they reached out to the public for help. The building went up in 1930 and opened its doors in 1930.
Yeah, that was nice timing.
That was right after the stock market.
Yeah, great timing for that.
Almost immediately they had to reach out for funds. They've always been entirely dependent on donors, and this happened again. Well, throughout its history, really, there was an episode around 1960s where they put out a brochure that there was a big poster that said, "Must these doors be closed?" And basically, it was. Please pony up to save the community house. And that was in the 60s.
And they did. Well, 1990 wasn't too good either.
Before. So
yeah.
In 1990, well, they were planning on putting on a big addition. The trust had to be dissolved in order to finance that. I don't think, though, that it ever occurred to the trustees that that the nonprofit, the association that they basically entrusted the property back to, would ever go rogue. And in effect, that is what is happening today. They have gone rogue and decided to sell the property for a profit, which is by no means authorized.
It does not appear to be.
By their founding documents or by any of these deeds.
Well, we're talking about the community house, and we're going to be taking a break here. We're talking with Kathleen Devereaux from Operation Save the Community House. It's a community group to save the community house. And all right, thank you hope you're here. I'm Chuck Moss, our host. We're going to take a short break. Don't go away. We'll be right back here on Eye on Oakland.
Bloomfield Township Senior Services promotes wellness and strengthens the community through social connections, fitness classes, aquatics, day trips, and more. Our staff is here to serve you, offering lifelong learning and interactive opportunities for residents age 50 and above. Invest in your vitality with us. Follow us to learn more and stay up to date. We look forward to meeting you.
Welcome back to Eye on Oakland. I'm Chuck Moss, your host. We're talking with Kathleen Devereaux from Operation Save the Community House. So we now know how we got here. We know what the situation is. What's next for Save the Community House? Raise money, get awareness? What is next for what you guys want to do?
Well, basically what's next is to support the city in the lawsuit and await the outcome of that, because everything pretty much hinges on that, the outcome.
Now, the Community House Association, which, they've essentially said we don't want to run essentially they have said that they don't want to run a community center anymore. Grosse Pointe has this war memorial. Why can't we have our community house? There's enough talent and money in this town. They should be able to put it back. If it's like it's always going kind of up and down, we're in a down now. This is another crisis. It just has to be put back on. Do you guys have a plan for, getting a structure and some donors and all that? So in case say the city wins and they said, okay, you get what you want. Is there a stage 2 to the plan, or are you still putting that together?
We're still putting that together. I mean, the official name of our group is the Visionary Arts Council, and although right now job number 1 is Save the Community House, the Visionary Arts Council has been putting together some ideas for fundraising, for basically reviving public interest in the community house, which has been lost over the years, which is partly why there's so much apathy out there about this. That somehow the association's been able to normalize this outrageous act that they're engaged in, because there's been apathy. I have to chalk that up to the fact that the community house has curtailed a lot of the activities that used to bring the public in and give them a sense of ownership, kind of, and a sense of investment, such that they would donate money to keep it going.
Well, I belong to 3 community organizations that were effectively, shown the door by the previous management, and one of them is very, very active, gave lots of money, was quite instrumental. They would have been natural to be donors.
Yes.
But that group is now happy where they are. The people who the venue where they meet bends over backwards. And at a recent event, somebody said the community house wants us to come back, but we're not going to. Got a standing ovation. So it's not just apathy, it's kind of bad blood.
Right. Goodwill in the community was severely affected, I have to say. And I have to basically walk that back to 2011, when management changed at the community house from the outgoing director, who had also been one of the last trustees, to what I call the current consortium that runs it.
So the plan, okay,
in
now...
terms of the top management I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, someone has to own the structure. Someone has to own the building. Someone's got to, who would own that going forward? Would it be the city? Would it be another nonprofit that might be formed to be the new Community House Association? Who would actually own the structure?
Well, there's several ways that could play out. It could be the city could own it or lease it.
But they have to lease it from somebody, yeah.
Right, or there could be a hybrid where a nonprofit would be in place, maybe a successor of the association in cooperation with the city. If the outcome of the lawsuit is actually to say that, let me backtrack. The association is arguing that they haven't dissolved and that they haven't changed their purpose, so that the deed restrictions aren't triggered, that they don't apply. So they're kind of arguing both ends of that. There are actually alternative arguments. They're also arguing that if the deed restrictions do apply, that the successor nonprofit that they sell to will abide by them, but will sign a purchase agreement agreeing to abide by them. In any case, let's say the resolution is that the association cannot sell the property, so that does not necessitate that the association will be dissolved or abandon their purpose, because the association actually cannot sell the property even if they don't dissolve, even if they don't abandon that was never contemplated at all. So let's say the association remains in control. The city could, they could actually set up some type of supervisory control, or the Attorney General is actually a party to this. They could exercise
Wait a minute. So
supervisory
the Attorney
control.
General of the state of Michigan is a party of this
Yes.
lawsuit. How so? That's interesting. I had no idea that was going on.
Well, there's a statutory scheme, basically, that controls charitable trusts in the state of Michigan, that basically ensures that if they do fail of their purpose, the donors have donated to support, that the Attorney General's office can step in and take control and make sure that they revert to their original purpose or work out some other type of.
So if, let's say, the court says
Settlement.
you can't sell the building, you can't sell the building to whoever, whether, I know the Jewish Federation has been mentioned as a buyer. They're good people. Look, I got nothing bad to say. They do great work. They're wonderful people. But would that be contradicting the purpose, which was to be a general community center? I don't know. It depends what the Federation wanted to do. Like I said, but if you sell it to Chuck Moss Developing, and we're going to bulldoze it down and build condos, that is in no way contemplated by the by the document. Mm-hmm. So now, whoever takes over, let us say that someone else. I guess there's $1 million in debt.
Yes, in November of 2024, 2 mortgages were taken out on the property, adding up to $1.5 million.
Get out of here. Wait a minute, 2024. Mm-hmm.
November 2024.
They borrowed a bunch of money. For what? Just.
Well, this whole process has been very untransparent. Their financials are by no means accessible to the public, except for what they're required to file as a nonprofit, a 990 every year with the IRS. So the most recent 990 was for fiscal year ending in 2024, June of 2024. So this all went down after. So there's the most recent 990 that will show this has not yet been filed, I believe.
Okay.
Or I haven't been able to find it. But in any case, So apparently they had, in fiscal year 2023, they had surprisingly lost a significant amount on their banquet operation, which was kind of difficult to parse because that was really one of their main profit centers. The following year, in 2024, they spent down their entire endowment pretty much it was over $1 million to only about $100,000 plus remained of their endowment. So we were like, why did they do that? We don't know. Then there was a change of management. Previous management.
Yeah, there was
a reorganization that started in January of 2025.
Which is very high profile. I was at the meeting.
Profile.
I was at the meeting.
Meetings,
yep.
And so they basically said, yeah, we ran into some fiscal difficulties, but nothing about those mortgages. I only found out about these last December. when the community house admitted that they were in debt, and so then we basically looked it up on the Register of Deeds to see what was there, and that's what we found.
Now, are you guys? You're Operation Save the Community House. Are you the guys who looked at the deed and looked all that stuff up? Did anyone do that but you?
Well, the association claims that they were aware of the deed restrictions all along.
Well, I mean the association, but I mean
cannot
any
even
outside people. I mean the
verify that.
city or anybody but you looked this stuff up. You actually did the research.
Yeah, it just so happened I had done the research, yes.
It was
I
you
just
guys.
happened to have it, yeah.
All right. So, I mean, maybe we need a blue ribbon committee of some sort to figure out the next step to making the community, getting it past the crisis in our time, as there was one in 90 and one in 30 and et cetera. And maybe in a Birmingham, maybe we need a 2046 plan. I don't know. But yeah, so what about, who, if you wave the magic wand to get exactly what ought to happen, what would be the outcome? Community house obviously stays open. Who would run it? How would that work, do you think?
Well, I think the city of Birmingham could step in and run it as the community center that they had been planning to build, but which basically failed because people got sticker shock. So you have to remember that without the community house, the city of Birmingham has no community center. If this is allowed to go through, there will be no Birmingham Community Center.
Yes.
So it's essential that we have that.
It is, I will, say, I think
And
there's
why can't an affluent community provide a decent community center for its citizens? Why can't it provide a war memorial? Why can't it provide a Bloomfield Township Senior Center? Why is our senior center housed in an elementary school that doesn't have room for all their activities and is now going to be in the XY building? That should not be happening. But the community center, the community house provided space for activities that spilled over from Next. It provided space for literary events that the library didn't have room for. It basically was a hub really the heart of the community.
It's a community hub. Yes.
It's a hub.
Definitely.
So,
not to mention the Our Town Art Show.
The Our Town Art Show, which I've been involved with for years, and which had just had its gala approximately 2 days before they announced that they were selling it, and which led us all to wonder why now? Why announce this now?
Well, you can consider Birmingham and its civic spine and all that without the community house. It's almost unthinkable.
It's unthinkable. It really is.
Well, if anybody is watching and thinks they'd like to get involved with your effort, how do they do that? Who do they call? You? How do they do that?
Well, they can call me.
All right. What would be the number? If you don't want that put up, we can certainly work it out. But anybody who wants to be involved with Save the Community House operation, how do they get involved?
Well, they can basically they can send me an email.
What is that email?
KC.
KC.
Devereaux.
How do we spell?
DEVEREAUX.
We'll put that up on the screen when it's ready, okay? At
Yahoo.
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 All right. .com. If anybody's interested, or of course you can call your city commissioner too.
And call your city commissioners and keep up with city meetings, attend city meetings. There's a long-range planning meeting coming up this Saturday.
Yes, well, by the time this airs, that might have already happened. But all right, well, thank you very much for talking to Kathleen Devereaux from Operation Save the Community House, which sounds like a worthy endeavor for me. I'm Chuck Moss, and thank you for joining us here on Eye on Oakland.